Hi, I'm Cameron, one of the managers at China Direct. I thought I'd just give you guys a step-by-step guide on how you can successfully import clothing from China. First stage you need to go through is actually to research and check out exactly what type of suppliers you want to be with. The way you go about this is actually to do a specification sheet. In this you'll detail the type of product you want. In this case clothing, you'd want to talk about the stitching involved, the fabric you want to use, the designs, buttons, anything to do with the actual making of the clothing. From there you'll actually get that specification sheet and put it into a request for quote. You then send that out to at least 30 or so suppliers, and obviously they'll get back to you, or a number of them will get back to you with an offer. You can then shortlist them down depending perhaps on the price, their previous ability to export perhaps to Australia or around the world, the management they have in place, anything they can prove to you to show you basically their capabilities to do what you want. From there you can then move on to your sampling and purchase order negotiation. This is where you knuckle down and make sure you get the exact type of sample that you want for your product. This may come from a number of different suppliers. It involves basically a lot of to and from. You send them samples, they send you samples back until you get to a point where you're happy with a supplier who is giving you the right type of sample. From there you can move on to purchase order. This is where you'll detail what's going to take place in terms of what's being made, the price, the terms and conditions, which would include time delays, what happens if there's a time delay, perhaps what happens if the quality is not up to standard. You might enforce a fine or ask for a replacement stock. It basically just safeguards you if anything goes wrong, and also the supplier knows exactly what you want. From there you can move on to stage 3, which is obviously production and delivery management. This is where you put your purchase order into place, you arrange supplier payment. We normally work on a 30% upfront and the 70% on the bill of lading at the shipping yards, which basically means the production's been done and it's been put onto the ship. This is probably the most effective way to make sure that the supplier delivers exactly what you want, because obviously they're not going to get their full payment until it's actually completed and delivered to you to your standards. The key thing I think you guys need to get from this is obviously to monitor them throughout the whole production process. As you can see here from one of our suppliers we've used, production of clothing has a lot of different stages. There's obviously the weaving, the sampling, the cutting, the sewing, the ironing, and the packaging. Through all these steps you can obviously check with them week by week to make sure that they're up to speed and that everything's going fine, and obviously then the supplier knows exactly that you're on task with them and they know what is expected. Once you've completed your production, you can get the supplier to give you a supplier self-assessment. This is what we use to safeguard yourself and to let the supplier know exactly what you want. Within this supplier self-assessment you might detail what might go wrong with the making of the garment, and it basically outlines what aspects you need the supplier to pay particular attention to. And once the production is done, obviously then they can tick off each little section to say they've done that certain part that you requested. This then means you can then move on from there onto organising delivery and getting your customs clearance. I've also just included a timeline here for everyone. This will give you an idea of how long it actually takes from the initial research stage through to getting the products delivered to your door. And normally for us it's around 4 months. This obviously depends on the size of the project, the amount of production involved, the strength of the supplier to do it quickly, and stuff like that. But I thought a rough guideline would help you out a lot, so it's around about 4 months. From there, if you guys have any questions, feel free to send us an email at info@chinadirectsourcing.com.au, and hopefully we'll be able to help you out. Till then, good luck with your importing.